David Muir, ABC's World News Tonight, America's most watched newscast. Now streaming same day with all the breaking news of the day on Disney+. Most watched, most trusted. Now on Disney+ every night.
Tonight, several developing stories as we come on the air. A setback in the search for two men still missing deep within a cave. Criminal charges are filed in a deadly highway crash. And is a U.S.-Iran deal close? What the Iranians are saying tonight. We begin overseas. Days after 5 men were rescued from a flooded cave, 2 remain missing. Heavy rains in Laos are now hampering efforts to rescue them. The tight passages are now filling with water. Rescuers continue to hold out hope that the missing men may have found a safe chamber. A bus driver is charged with involuntary manslaughter in a crash that killed 5 people on an interstate. Investigators are focusing on his speed while driving through a work zone. Shocking video shows survivors climbing through windows. Among the dead were 4 family members who were on their way to a wedding. Will the U.S. and Iran strike a deal to stop the war? President Trump says a major announcement is coming, but a top Iranian official now says Iran does not trust, quote, the enemy's words. Plus, Israeli forces are pushing deeper into Lebanon. They've seized a 900-year-old castle dating back to the Crusades. Also tonight, the concerts may be canceled at the Great American State Fair. Why the president now says he plans to hold a massive political rally. Chaos in Paris. Cars set on fire. Police fired tear gas. Hundreds arrested. All of it came after their team won Europe Soccer Championship. The NBA Finals are set. Will the Knicks' Jalen Brunson take his place in history, or will Wemby spoil the party? We'll preview the rematch from 1999. A United Airlines jet abruptly turned around after the airline says a passenger's Bluetooth signal triggered an emergency response. Grammy-winning singer Peabo Bryson is under medical care after suffering a stroke. What his family is saying about his condition tonight. And America strong. At an age when most are slowing down, he's just getting started.
From ABC News World Headquarters in New York, this is World News Tonight.
Good evening, everyone. Thanks so much for joining us on this Sunday. I'm Lindsay Davis. Tonight, we're following the bus driver in the deadly highway crash who now faces criminal charges. New details on a possible deal between the U.S. and Iran. But we do begin with the desperate search for 2 miners still missing in a cave in Laos. Heavy rains are now threatening the search efforts. Divers suspect the 2 men are stuck deeper inside the cave's narrow passages. Just 24 hours earlier, the mood was celebratory after 4 men walked out of the cave on their own, breathing fresh air for the first time in 10 days. Authorities say those men are now offering advice from their hospital rooms on how to find the other 2. The first survivor was rescued on Friday. Days later, hope is dwindling but not lost. ABC's Britt Clennett leads us off with the latest.
Tonight, concern for the 2 miners still missing in Laos after heavy rains, delaying rescue efforts, inundating the caves where they're suspected of being trapped. Rescue teams hit another setback after one of the pumps used to drain the caves broke down. It comes just one day after these dramatic moments where rescuers pulled 5 miners to safety after more than a week of being trapped underground. Search teams are now preparing to push deeper into the cave beyond the area where the 5 men were found. Officials say the 2 missing men may be in a hard-to-reach chamber, possibly beyond a narrow crack leading to a deeper part of the cave system. Rescuers must make their way through a maze of unmapped tunnels, muddy water, and near-zero visibility.
There is the constant fear in the back of your head that if it rains, this thing that you are, slowly working your way through could very easily be flooded with water.
The 5 rescued miners are now in the hospital. Officials say they're doing well and providing key details on the cave system, leading to new information on where the remaining 2 are possibly located. The first miner made it out Friday before crews were able to fully drain the tunnels. Video shows him crawling on his hands and knees through tight passages. Rescuers then drained more water from the cave, allowing 4 more miners to crawl out on their own, exhausted but alive. The next phase could be far more difficult.
There's a theory that there's a 6th chamber, which gives us hope now we might be able to reach the 6th chamber and then see what is there.
Even if they find the missing miners, bringing them out may not be possible right away. Rescuers may have to get them food and water, then wait for more of the cave to be drained.
Now, Lindsay, tropical rain has been delaying the rescue effort for these two remaining men. The divers, though, they are hoping the rain will clear enough so that they can explore the option of a sixth chamber inside the cave. And telling us tonight they've been searching for other potential entry points, Lindsay.
We are hoping for the best there, Britt. Thank you. Now to that heartbreaking and deadly highway crash in Virginia. The bus driver is now facing involuntary manslaughter charges. 5 people were killed in the crash on Friday, including a family of 4 heading to a wedding in South Carolina. More than 40 others were injured. ABC's Andrew Dymburt has that story.
Tonight, the driver of that deadly bus crash on I-95 in Virginia now facing criminal charges as we learn more about the victims killed. Virginia State Police charging 48-year-old Jing Dong of Staten Island with 2 felony counts of involuntary manslaughter and saying more charges are pending.
Multiple people jumping out of windows, multiple vehicles on fire.
The deadly chain reaction crash happening early Friday morning in Stafford County, Virginia. Video showing survivors climbing through windows of the smoke-filled bus as first responders raced to the scene. Investigators say the bus traveling from New York to Charlotte failed to slow down for traffic backed up near a work zone, slamming into several vehicles before overturning, killing 5 and injuring more than 40 others. And tonight, new details about the lives lost. Relatives say 4 of the victims were members of the Donsev family from Massachusetts. A mother, father, and their 2 children headed to a wedding in South Carolina with a car full of homemade desserts. Tonight, relatives tell ABC News that wedding going forward while also mourning the Donsevs. The NTSB now trying to determine what caused the bus driver to plow into the backup, saying speed may have played a factor.
It seems fairly clear that if there was any braking, there wasn't much, because of the speed and the severity of the collision.
Lindsay, the driver who was injured in the crash remains hospitalized while in police custody. His court date will be set once he's released from the hospital. He's facing up to 20 years behind bars if convicted. Lindsay?
Andrew, thank you. Overseas now to the war with Iran. Still no word from President Trump on a deal with Tehran. This is Israel's expanding its offensive in southern Lebanon, capturing a medieval castle which dates back to the Crusader era. It's the deepest incursion into that country in more than 25 years. But could it threaten the peace talks between the U.S. and Iran? ABC's chief foreign correspondent Ian Pannell reports from the region tonight.
Tonight, while the world awaits news of a deal between the US and Iran, there are reports that President Trump has changed the terms of the agreement negotiated by his team and the Iranians. The president repeatedly signaling a major announcement is imminent, but Iran again signaling no such announcement is coming. The Speaker of the Iranian parliament saying today Iranian leaders do not trust the enemy's words and promises, and they will not approve any agreement until we're sure that we have secured the rights of the Iranian people. Complicating a breakthrough is Israel's expanding invasion of Lebanon. The IDF taking control of a 12th century Crusader castle in southern Lebanon. The Israeli flag raised atop Beaufort Castle. This is the deepest Israeli forces have been inside Lebanon in 26 years. The IDF saying it's rooting out Iranian-backed militia Hezbollah inside Lebanon. This weekend, Israel's Iron Dome intercepting rockets. Hezbollah says it fired into Upper Galilee. Large swaths of southern Lebanon now in ruins. Residents digging through the rubble. The country's health ministry says more than 3,400 people have been killed by Israeli forces since March. More than 10,000 wounded.
Lindsay, despite repeatedly optimistic statements from the Trump administration about the prospects of a deal, it remains to be seen what, if anything, Iran has agreed to and whether any of the pre-war goals have been achieved. Lindsay?
Ian Pannell for us in Jerusalem. Thank you. Amid concerns that there's still no deal, President Trump says both sides are getting close to an agreement that would reopen the Strait of Hormuz and extend the fragile ceasefire. Here's ABC senior White House correspondent Selena Wang.
More than 48 hours after President Trump said he'd make his final determination on a deal with Iran, tonight, still no deal. But the president insisting the two sides are getting close.
We're close to a very good deal, and if we can make it good, otherwise we just start up with the Department of War.
Trump is demanding Iran reopen the Strait of Hormuz, guarantee it won't develop a nuclear weapon, and hand over its highly enriched uranium. Trump also saying he wants Iran to agree not to buy a nuclear weapon.
Now it says we will not develop or in any way purchase a military weapon. That's a big difference.
But despite the economic pain that Americans are feeling at the pump, the president making clear he's in no rush.
We're getting what we want slowly. Very tough negotiators. It takes a long time. I'm in no hurry.
The Treasury Secretary insisting the economic pain will be short-lived.
I am very confident that the energy prices are going to come down very quickly.
This as the Freedom 250 State Fair, a Trump-backed event, faces setbacks. The majority of musicians billed for the event now pulling out. Trump saying he'll step in, announcing a rally on the National Mall on June 24th, and floating the idea of scrapping the entire 16-day event for a Make America Great Again rally, rather than, in his words, having overpriced singers who nobody wants to hear, whose music is boring, and yet who do nothing but complain. But Freedom 250 says they aren't canceling the event, instead adding an opening ceremony for the president to speak at.
Some musicians want to play music for everybody, and some musicians seem to have segmented their audiences the same way politicians have.
And tonight, Lindsay, the Iranian state media reports that the two sides are still exchanging draft agreements. The president says he's in no rush. And tonight, White House officials tell me that the president will only make a deal that satisfies his red lines, stressing that Iran can never have a nuclear weapon. Lindsay?
He has stated that was his goal all along. Selena, thank you. Now to the violence erupting across France. Overnight, hundreds of people were arrested in Paris and other cities for rioting, vandalizing shops, and setting fires. Dozens of police officers were injured. Let's bring in ABC's Marcus Moore. And Marcus, this all started with a championship victory.
Yeah, that's right, Lindsay. Fans of Paris Saint-Germain celebrated a remarkable victory overnight, the team's second straight title in the Champions League, and the first back-to-back title run for the competition in nearly 10 years. They secured their victory over London's Arsenal in Budapest, Hungary yesterday, but the moment of triumph for fans around the globe turned into chaos on the streets of France overnight. Dramatic scenes as fires burned and people clashed with police in parts of the capital in Paris. Cars were in flames and people lit flares in the streets. Now, police arrested nearly 800 people who were allegedly involved in the unrest. 480 of them were arrested in Paris, and a French official telling reporters that 57 police officers were injured during the chaos. Now, it was a much calmer scene today as officials went on with the planned parade to celebrate the team. Some 100,000 fans there to show their support in the shadow of the Eiffel Tower. Lindsay, leaders are hoping for a much more peaceful night ahead.
Hopefully that's the case, Marcus. Thank you. Next tonight, Brazil is monitoring 2 patients for Ebola. If confirmed, they may be the first cases outside of the deadly outbreak in Central Africa. Both individuals had recently traveled to the Congo and Uganda, the epicenter of the outbreak. Symptoms for other viruses are similar to Ebola, so authorities await those test results anxiously. There are more than 1,000 suspected cases of Ebola in the Congo. More than 240 people have died. Now to the chaos at Newark, New Jersey immigration facility. Delaney Hall has been at the center of protests for days now. Protesters have clashed with police along with skirmishes between pro-ICE and anti-ICE demonstrators. The city's mayor has ordered a mandatory overnight curfew. Detainees launched a hunger strike over the poor conditions at the facility. Family visitation is now set to resume after being suspended due to the protests. Now to the severe weather threat in the central U.S. Scattered thunderstorms are bringing possible damaging wind gusts and large hail. Let's bring in meteorologist Danny Beckstrom from our New York station WABC. So, Danny, where's the greatest risk tonight?
Threat zone tonight, parts of Kansas and Missouri. Lindsay, let's get to the map so that you can see the area highlighted in yellow. That's going to be your level 2 out of 5. That means scattered severe storms are expected with the potential for damaging wind, large hail, and frequent lightning. These storms track east across Missouri overnight to tomorrow morning, arriving to cities like St. Louis just in time for the Monday morning commute, bringing heavy downpours. Monday evening, we're looking at another severe weather threat, this time in the Central Plains. This is going to bring damaging wind, large hail, and even a few isolated tornadoes. That looks like Monday evening. In terms of temperature, we're starting to rebound those temps in the east. New England stays cool on Monday, but we have some real summer-like heat building in the center of the country by the middle of the week, and that starts to trek east by the end of the week. Relatively cool May, so I think a lot of people on the East Coast are looking forward to the warm-up.
We sure are.
Yeah.
All right, Danny, thank you. Now to the exciting matchup for the NBA Finals. The New York Knicks will face off against the San Antonio Spurs, 2 storied franchises looking to hoist the championship trophy after long droughts. Let's bring in ABC's Ike Ejace. And Ike, these two, of course, faced each other 27 years ago in the finals. Remarkable history here.
That's right, Lindsay. Remarkable is an understatement. The last time these two teams met in the finals, 1999, Tim Duncan and the Spurs crushed New York's hopes. Well, Knicks fans say this time will be different. The Knicks, it's been 53 years since the Knicks last won an NBA championship, and Jalen Brunson has a chance to join Walt Frazier, Willis Reed, and Patrick Ewing on the Mount Rushmore of all-time great Knicks. Now, on the other side, 22-year-old Victor Wembanyama punched the Spurs' first finals ticket in 12 years last night in Game 7, winning 111-103 and scoring 22 points. Now, while tens of thousands flooded the streets of downtown San Antonio overnight, joy and heartbreak at the same time. A 17-year-old fan on life support tonight after an accident during those celebrations, declared brain dead after falling from a moving vehicle while celebrating Thursday night's win, his head striking the curb. San Antonio police calling it, quote, tragic and preventable, urging fans ahead of the finals to stay inside of their vehicles. Lindsay?
All right. Lots of excitement and urging calm in the wake of it all. Ike, thank you. And you can watch the NBA Finals starting Wednesday right here on ABC. Still much more ahead on World News Tonight this Sunday. The unusual security threat the United Airlines has caused the jet to make a U-turn over the Atlantic, and a potential break in the killing of a sheriff's deputy in Virginia, where authorities say the suspect was spotted. Next tonight, this could be a first. United Airlines says one of its jets bound for Spain made a U-turn Saturday night after a passenger's Bluetooth signal triggered a suspected security threat. Here's what the air traffic controller said.
Someone decided to name their Bluetooth device a certain four-letter word, so they're evacuating the aircraft.
The airline says that four-letter word was bomb. The Bluetooth was traced to a 16-year-old passenger, according to the airline. Police swept the plane once it landed safely back in Newark, and it was cleared to resume its flight. Tonight, a possible break in the search for the suspect wanted in the killing of a sheriff's deputy in Virginia. Police say that suspect, Michael Puckett, was spotted today on a wildlife camera in North Carolina. Two deputies responded to a welfare check at Puckett's home in Carroll County, Virginia on Friday night. Deputy Logan Ott was shot and killed. The other deputy was struck in his bulletproof vest and is in stable condition. The family of hockey legend Claude Lemieux says that it's donating his brain for medical research. Lemieux was involved in dozens of fights during 21 seasons of pro hockey. Researchers hope to learn more about the long-term effects of repetitive head impacts. They also want to learn if Lemieux had the brain disease known as CTE. Lemieux died by suicide last week. He was 60 years old. When we come back, Grammy-winning singer Peabo Bryson suffers a stroke. What we've learned about his condition. To the index now, Grammy Award singer-songwriter Peabo Bryson has suffered a stroke. Bryson's family says he is currently under medical care. He's known for his duet with Roberta Flack on Tonight I Celebrate My Love. Bryson was also the voice behind the Oscar-winning Disney songs Beauty and the Beast and A Whole New World. Music mogul Clive Davis is recovering from an upper respiratory infection. A spokesman for Davis says that he was taken to a hospital in New York City on Friday out of an abundance of caution. Davis, who's 94 years old, helped mold the careers of Whitney Houston, Aretha Franklin, Bruce Springsteen, and so many others. Next, a record-setting celebration. More than 1,000 people dressed as Marilyn Monroe filled Palm Springs, California. Downtown was a sea of white dresses and platinum blonde wigs, a tribute to her iconic scene in The 7-Year Itch. The Hollywood sex symbol would have turned 100 years old tomorrow. When we come back, America Strong. A lot of people his age are slowing down, but he says he's just getting warmed up. Finally tonight, America Strong. Our next story is proof that sometimes the most remarkable journeys begin when many people think they're over. At 6:17 this morning, sporting a yellow bib and an even brighter sense of possibility, 90-year-old Bill Schwartz was raring to go at the start of the Rock and Roll Marathon in San Diego. Not to watch, not to cheer, but to run his very first full marathon. The decision came after a trip abroad last year when Bill asked himself a poignant question.
Am I going to participate or am I going to watch other people participate?
Freshly remarried and grateful for good health, Bill decided to take on a new challenge, a marathon.
I've done rim to rim with my son at the Grand Canyon. I've done 5 half marathons this season.
But 26.2 miles requires its own preparation.
Swing your arms. Okay.
Strength training, Pilates, stretching.
Yep, and then pull. Good.
Determination that even inspired his trainer.
I asked him a lot of whys, and you know what I get from him? He goes, why not? His proof that age doesn't matter, and it's mindset that really kicks in.
At an age when many people are told to slow down, Bill's inviting others to speed up their dreams.
I have all sorts of people saying, well, I'd love to do that. And I say, well, why don't you join me?
At 90 years old, Bill's proving that life isn't about keeping pace with anyone else. It's just about having the courage to keep moving forward. Because why not? David Muir back here tomorrow night on GMA in the morning. A portion of my interview with the Second Lady Usha Vance, the full conversation, airs tomorrow night on ABC News Live Prime. Until then, I'm Lindsay Davis. Have a great night.
David Muir, the most trusted, most watched newscast in America. And now, World News Tonight has won the Emmy for Best Live News Program for the 4th year in a row.